Hi, I'm Tom from Victory Post Gaming, and I'm here to bring you my top 10 franchises in video gaming. Now, mine's probably going to be different than yours, it is opinionated. However, I grew up with the majority of these games, which is probably going to be a little bit obvious to some people. But here we go, here's my top 10. Now obviously there's quite a few franchises I could choose between. For me, it's more of a case of which ones I still play now and which ones I grew up with, as opposed to the ones that are kind of like the bigger games that you get these days. Saying that, there are a few honourable mentions I'd like to get out of the way. Things like Castlevania, Tony Hawk's franchise, things like Metroid as well, Kirby, Pro Evolution Soccer, wrestling games. Okay, there's quite a lot, but still, these top 10 are going to be the ones that I would choose to continue playing and still continue to play to this day. Also, these aren't in any particular order. I don't rate one over the other because, like I say, I like them all. So in theory, this is really just kind of more of a top 10 in general as opposed to number 1, 2 and 3. So first up out the bunch is Street Fighter. More specifically, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which me and my brother got one year for Christmas. I still remember playing him and over again, still trying to learn how to do Shoryukens, which I can just about do these days. One of those games that I do get to play quite often, mainly thanks to Street Fighter 5 and Ultimate Marvel still actually being online, but I don't really get to play with friends very often, mainly because they don't like fighting games, so when I do get to play online, I get utterly wrecked. One of those games that I cannot for the life of me ever stop playing though. It's just ingrained in my body, and the fact that I now use fight sticks, or have done for quite a few years now, I find that it's a little bit more entertaining that way and brings me back to the arcade days when I used to go down to the pub, or even down to the local arcade and play original Street Fighter 2. I've had a few goes on Rainbow as well, which has been an utter laugh when I went to SGC a few years ago, but it's just one of those games that I will never get out of my system and absolutely love. Now, as with all of these games, I've spent far too many hours playing any and all of them. But if I could choose one franchise I probably spent way too much time playing, it's Final Fantasy. I originally grew up playing Final Fantasy VII. I know this is a platinum copy, but that's what happens when you lend your games out to your friends. It's one of those games that I can honestly say I have played far too much and know far too much about as well. Final Fantasy VII is probably my favourite, but that's mainly because I still go by the theory that whichever one you played first is probably going to be the best one. I often go back to number 5 as well. Again, something a little bit different, and not a lot of people seem to ever bring it up. I've still got my original NES copies, I don't know how or when I acquired these, and I've still got things like the PSP versions. But to be fair, I do own every single one, I just don't have enough room on the table to show it here, otherwise this video would be just a case of me showing you all the boxes of games I have rather than me talking about them. Final Fantasy VII especially, stuff like the music, it will never get out of my head. One Winged Angel, Genova's theme, which is pretty much my favourite theme out of any Final Fantasy, combat system. I mean, what else is there to say about Final Fantasy that hasn't already been said? I'm not really looking forward to 15 though. I played the demos and I even had the £190 pre-order collector's edition, but nah, I'm not looking forward to it anymore. I'll probably wait for it to come in and just be a little bit cheaper. Saying that though, if it is any good, I'm still going to sink hundreds and hundreds of hours into it, so probably going to be a buy at some point. But as most people have played them, I still say Final Fantasy VII, one of the best games of all time. Now, if the hat wasn't a bit of a giveaway, much like the t-shirt is, Pokemon is probably one of those franchises that I will never get bored of playing as well. Sun and Moon looked utterly amazing and the demo was brilliant to play through, so I can't wait for that to come out in a few weeks' time. But again, much like Final Fantasy, I've invested way too much time in this franchise. Another one that I own all of, just again, not enough room to show all of this, but certain games still stand out to me. I remember getting Pokemon Red and Blue from my brother when he came back from Canada many months before it came out in the UK. So when it finally did come out in the UK, I was already one of those Pokemon masters that goes on in the anime so much about. I don't think you can really get bored of Pokemon. I mean, some people do say they grow out of it, but I'm 31, I don't care what you say, this is one of the best franchises ever made, and Pikachu is one of the cutest things ever, and I still can't believe that I say that even though I'm meant to be a dude. Either way though, Pokemon is still going strong, and thankfully it doesn't really ever get that many bad games. Things like Colosseum, I would say, I've put a few too many hours into and not really got much out of them. But for the main franchise, and for things like Pokken, which is just downright fun as, you can't get better than it. Music, graphics, I think I'm going to be saying that for most of these franchises, but if you said to someone, what's the intro to Pokemon, or even the theme tune from the anime, I can guarantee you they will tell you. Now, I get scared easily when I play video games. I don't know why, I just have irrational fears of things like underwater levels, and that stupid level in New Zealand story still scares me to this day. This franchise on the other hand still scares me a little bit, not so much the newer games, more so the older games. The original Resident Evil with the stupid zombies and stupid spiders, I still don't like that, and I especially don't like them in the remaster either. Things like in Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4 got a little bit better, mainly due to the weaponry that you have. But I'm still looking forward to Resident Evil 7, as I said before in previous videos. I'm not playing that with VR anymore, and it should be alright when it comes out. I've stopped watching any of the trailers because I don't like spoiling games for myself. But one of those franchises that I still play year on year. I often do a speed run of 1, 2, 3, try and get through to Code Veronica and Resident Evil 4. Usually skip out 5, it's my least favourite out of the bunch. 6, I seem to be in the minority where I actually enjoy that game. Well, 2/3 of that game, 1/3 of that game, other video. But still, again, just another beautiful franchise. Music, graphics, everything about it still holds up for me these days, and like I say, as I grew up playing with it, there isn't going to be anything that beats that. Silent Hill comes close, but it scared me that little bit too much when I was younger, and the whole psychological part of it I couldn't get my head around. Now, growing up, my household did have a Super Nintendo and a Mega Drive. I also used to play a lot of my games on my Spectrum and my Amiga. Mario was one of those games that I used to play quite often, but I don't think I really appreciated until I got much older. I mean, I started off on things like Super Mario World, managed to get the All-Stars pack, which then allowed me to play the original games, but it wasn't until years later when things like Sunshine, 64, even the kart racing games came out, that I really actually appreciated it a lot more. I mean, again, I was playing things like Super Mario Kart day in day out with my brother when I wasn't losing at Street Fighter. Things like Mario Maker though, I think are the pinnacle of it. There's not really much else you can do these days, and while I am looking forward to the Switch, I'm not really bothered about another Mario game. I mean, I will buy it, but endless amounts of levels on this, why would I need anything else in the world? Again, one of those franchises that I do like, but I don't actually like Mario that much. I just like the gameplay, the music and the graphics. So if I was to say that I like the franchise, if you could take out the little plumber and put someone else in, I probably would still enjoy it just as much. But to be fair, there's another franchise that I absolutely adore, way more than this one, that completely destroys this, and we'll get to that in a sec. So if there's one franchise that I think beats Mario out, it's Sonic the Hedgehog. Like I say, I grew up with a Mega Drive and a SNES in the same house, but for me, it was always the Blue Hedgehog. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is my favourite game ever, and nothing will ever change that. For me, it is perfect. The music, the graphics, the speed, even making sure Tails drowns or falls down a pit hole. It is the best game ever made, and I will take that to my grave with me. I'm that much of a biased Sonic fan though that I still enjoy things like Sonic R, and that's due to the fact that I still think it's a good game. It controls weird, but at the same time, is still rather charming. Games in the future though that came out like Sonic Adventure, all the way up to things like Sonic Generations, which is a love letter to fans like me, nothing will ever change my passion for him. I own clothing, posters, music CDs, DVDs, you name it, if it's got Sonic's face on it, I buy it unwillingly. For me, I don't think you can get better than Sonic, and there's only one other character that I would ever put him in a fight against, and that's not Mario. But I still think to this day that he still has good games in him. You've got the new Sonic game coming out soon, and as long as you don't look at things like Sonic the Hedgehog, Shadow the Hedgehog, or Sonic Boom, I still think he's one of the greatest characters, let alone one of the greatest franchises ever made. Who likes old school platforming games that are ridiculously hard? I do, so that's why I like Mega Man. I didn't really have any friends that grew up playing Mega Man, and nor did any of them have any of the games, but I did watch it on TV on things like Games Master and read it in magazines as well. So when I actually finally got my hands on them, I utterly loved them. The music in Mega Man 2 goes on par with stuff like Final Fantasy 7 and Sonic the Hedgehog for me, in tunes that I will never get out of my head. And gameplay elements like in Mega Man X where you can finally dash just made it brilliant. I know you can slide in the other ones, but it's just not the same. Things like Mega Man X7, Command Mission, even things like Network Transmission are pretty good, but I think the series tailed off near the end, and it's not like we're going to get any more anytime soon. Thankfully, thanks to Capcom, we did get the Legacy Collection, which put all of them in one nice little PS4 package for me, but I would really enjoy a Mega Man X Collection, just because it's one of those games that I didn't really play that much when I was younger, I try and play now, and still can't remember how the hell to do it. I wish that there was some other sort of collection where you could get all the battle networks. To be honest, I just wish there was a massive Mega Man collection, because I don't have the money to keep buying every single game that's ever been made for him. Now Zelda's another one that I didn't really grow up playing. Again, I saw the cartoon on TV, I saw it in magazines quite a lot, but I never really got a chance to play it until Ocarina of Time came out. For me, the best one out of the bunch is Majora's Mask. I absolutely love that game, and was really excited when the 3DS remake came out as well. Of all the other games though, there's not really one that I dislike that much. Skyward Sword's the only one I've never completed, and that's because it bored the hell out of me, but I still enjoyed it while I was playing it. I've even got spin-off games like Hyrule Warriors for my Wii U and for my 3DS, and things like Twilight Princess on my original version and the remaster as well. Musically, like most of these games, I don't think you can say that Zelda's got a bad tune in it. A lot of them are so catchy that you can't get them out of your head. Graphically though, they've never been that good for me. I mean, obviously the NES games for the age look pretty good, same for the SNES, same for the N64, but they've never been the pinnacle of it. Thankfully it's the gameplay that has been, and even things like the Water Temple, which people blow out of proportion way too much, isn't actually that hard when you know what you're doing. I guess it's one of those games that if you like one of them, you're probably going to like all of them, and for me, I do like all of them because I own all of them. Again, not enough room, not big enough table. Shin Megami Tensei, or the Persona franchise, is a franchise that I wish I knew about sooner. Persona 3 and Persona 4 are two of my favourite RPGs, and that goes alongside things like Final Fantasy 7 and Final Fantasy 5. They're utterly ridiculously fun. I mean, the characters in them are amazing. You do have dumbasses like Yosuke and Junpei, which do make the comical elements of the game far more enjoyable, and when you've got franchise spin-offs like Dancing All Night and Persona Arena, it just kind of hits all notes for me. I mean, fighting games again, so Persona 1 makes it brilliant, and a dancing stage game, I really grew up with things like Beatmania in the arcade, so I think that's an enjoyable experience. I do enjoy the main franchise games though, so Lucifer's cool, Shin Megami Tensei 4 are really enjoyable games, but I don't get around to playing them anywhere near as much as I do when I play the Persona games. Things like Persona Q on the other hand are way too hard, and I will get around to completing that one day when I actually can be bothered to, but for the moment I'd rather play a game that I enjoy. Again, like most of these games, the music is one of the best things about them. Graphically, when you have the anime cutscenes as well, that really puts it into the mood, and I do understand that some people don't like the fact that the Persona games are getting far more attention than the Megami games, but then they're the ones that make the money, so why would Atlus stop making them? Persona 5 on the other hand is my most anticipated game next year, and that's alongside Resident Evil 7, so I can't wait for that to come out, but for the meantime I'm just going to have to keep playing these ones and learn to buy some of the other ones. Now I said that I wouldn't put these in any particular order, and that's a bit of a lie. I left Metal Gear to last because I do think it's probably my favourite franchise, and that's besting Sonic the Hedgehog. I own everything you can get to do with Metal Gear, or at least everything I can get my hands on. From the games, special editions, thank you Thom for the birthday present, t-shirts, posters, magazines, art book, soundtrack CDs, you name it, if it's got Metal Gear written on it I will buy it like a sheep. And I still think the games like Metal Gear 5 is the best game that came out in that year. I know a load of people didn't like it because of the storyline or it wasn't a true Metal Gear game, but for me it is the pinnacle of Metal Gear in terms of its gameplay. Graphically it's utterly outstanding, and the score inside it is beautiful as well. I can't wait for Survive to come out, and I know I'm in the minority for that, but I do think it's going to be an enjoyable game. I mean, all I want is more of this, which is what I'm going to be getting. I can't think of a better game franchise, and I play every single one of these games every single year without fail. There's not another game that I do that with, apart from maybe Sonic the Hedgehog 2. So there you go, my top 10 gaming franchises. Did you agree or disagree? Don't forget to sound off in the comments, like and subscribe. And who knows, maybe some of these games I'll actually do full reviews on in the future.